me.
I beat you!
Welcome!
Whoa, that was a noise.
It was.
It was.
I was trying to get more like, in it, but it didn't quite come out.
Are you a goblin from Final Fantasy?
Uh-huh.
Okay, good to know.
I think that's okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Anyways.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah, welcome to our podcast.
Yay!
Do you notice an extra voice in here? You might.
Hi, guys.
Yay! It's David!
It's David.
Spoilers!
David
Spoiler alert.
Jeffress from a couple of podcasts now, Dungeons and Chill, and the new one, Comic Trades Monthly.
Hey, got it.
I
Yay.
got it. I have had to write it down like every single week because I am bad at remembering things. But yeah, so our episode this week, if you've been on the Facebook group, is going to be about audio and the important part it can play in cosplay. And we thought, what better person to talk about that and kind of give us some advice than our actual audio recording editing engineer here. So yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, that's a well.
That's a big question.
Yeah, it's a big question. It's not as cool as last week where was it Kame?
Yeah.
Who's like, I was born on this day. And it, so let's see. I'm very amateur at cosplay. I've done like maybe 4 cosplays total my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly but surely, I'm trying to correct that. But I've been doing sound for kind of as long as I can remember. And I've always appreciated sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of the first things that I really cared about when I was watching Jurassic Park was how did they make the Tyrannosaurus roar? Like, that's so iconic, right?
Yeah,
So I had this, it was, when did that movie come out? Like 95?
7, I think?
Somewhere around there. So pre-real Google, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I had to, like, find all these, like, weird audio techniques and whatnot. So, like, I learned how they did the Godzilla yell, and that's really cool. Love that one. They took, like, resin, rubber gloves, and cello strings, and they rubbed them down the cello strings. Yeah, hurts my heart when you think about it, but the manipulation that they do, beautiful. Beautiful stuff.
Like, how do you even think of something like that?
That's one of my questions, yeah. So,
Just
yeah.
think of, like, audio engineers, like, for making sound effects like that, just being in a room and with a bunch of weird objects and being like, what if I put these two together?
Yeah. Yeah, Foley artists, they have, like, a certain amount of crazy, and
Yeah,
I
you
respect
would
the crap
have
out
to.
of them.
Yeah.
So I really got into audio lately because of the fact that I was listening to podcasts, Sneak Attack, The Adventure Zone, Critical Role, all that other stuff. It's like, I want to do that. I like D&D.
Yeah.
I could podcast that. So I got a group of friends together and I said, this is what I want to do. And they're like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And we started recording on 3 different cell phones located in the room.
Oh, boy.
And slowly but surely, I was educating myself on how to do it better.
Yeah.
And then that started out Dungeons and Chill. We slowly progressed to better and better.
Mm-hmm.
And I then found a good mixer, some good quality microphones, and I kind of sat down and went, I want to do this for the rest of my life when I grow up. So, because I admit I'll never know when I'm actually grown up. And so I just kind of went with this, and then I reached out to Mercedes one day and was like, hey, you guys are really awesome. I saw that you're doing, like, podcast stuff. Do you want help?
And I was like, yes.
Which was the coolest thing, honestly. We were so excited.
I am such an introvert. That was, like, one of the most nerve-wracking things.
Aww.
I remember I'm sitting in my living room, and I'm like, I have this whole big, long message typed out, and I'm just like, do I send it? Do I send it? Do I send it? Do I
We've all
send it?
been there.
And I'm talking to my people, and I'm like, do I send it? Do I send it? I sent it. Oh, no, what have I done? So.
And now you know we're just gigantic nerds just like you.
Yeah,
So
I'm in good company.
I was going to say, and that Mercedes, like, sends things late all the time.
I mean, I was never going to say something along those lines out loud.
You outed yourself, Mercedes.
I know what I am.
So, my first question was, so I know you like cosplay, and you explained very well why you're into audio, but, like, where did those kind of cross over?
They really don't in like my mind, but like they're 2 separate tracks that they kind of bump each other. They don't really cross. But when it comes down to it, like there's something about a character. If I wanted to do a character, oftentimes it's the way that they sound in my head that usually attracts me to them.
Okay.
So like did a pre-serum Captain America cosplay.
Right.
And I've always loved Captain America. Yes, thank you, got it. I'll show you the picture of me standing next to Chris Evans. It's great. It's pretty great. So like usually it's like the sound effects that draw me to a character of like, oh man, I love the way that like Hawkeye's quiver sounds when he pulls an arrow out or something like that.
Right.
So it's like that's what draws me to a character first. So it's like that inspires me first and foremost to like figure out what character I might want to do if I'm going to do cosplay.
Okay.
So for Captain America's example, it's like I've loved the sound of the shield bouncing off walls.
Yeah.
And that was like, oh man, how do I want to do that. Like that'd be really
That
cool.
is
And then I
cool.
kind of jump into it like, how would I put my twist on it and
Oh,
whatnot.
interesting.
So really what it comes down to is I choose my characters based off of things that interest me, and the sound is one of my major interests.
Oh, that's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
I've never heard of a story quite like that one. That's really cool. So I also, let's see, we talked about audio. We talked about like how you got into it and where it bumps into cosplay. Like, what brought you into cosplay? Because clearly you were already into like D&D.
Yeah.
You were already into nerdy things. What made you like drag your heels into that mess as well?
So it was definitely the first Salt Lake Comic Con here. And I've seen other cosplayers. I was introduced by some of the bigger names, Yaya and Jessica Negri, and I was like, okay, these guys are really cool. They're kind of extreme when it comes to their cosplay. Like they go way over the top.
For sure,
And sometimes I feel like it's more modeling than cosplay. And that's not to knock any of their skill. They do really great things. But I started like getting to more local groups, and I was like, I think I could do this. I think I could try that.
I definitely get how it can be intimidating when you see like the cosplay famous air quotes
Yeah.
people, and you're like, well, I can't make that.
Yeah.
But you don't have to like be that kind of cosplayer.
Yeah,
sort of a
totally.
thing.
That's what I love about cosplays, like all
Yeah.
different types that are in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and one of the people I also latched onto was Svetlana Kamui from
yeah.
and she's selling her books, and I was like, yes, let's do this.
Yeah.
So I bought one of her books on like Warbla work, and I was going to do a Hiccup cosplay.
Oh, fun.
And I was like, that would be really great for me.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Hiccup. Like, so cool. And then, like, as I started making, I was like, I don't really want to do Hiccup anymore. I want to do my D&D character named Cleoth.
Nice.
So, like, yeah, I made an 8-pound trident stupidly. Like, that's the one big regret that I have of that cosplay.
Oh, we've all done those.
Yeah.
You make the property like, it's really heavy.
So it was just like seeing all these people have fun and creating something new.
Nice.
And I've always been one of those people who wants to create something and add something to the world.
Nice.
Kind of just put myself in that space. And it's like cosplay is something that I see a lot of people have fun in. I want to try that as well.
Yeah.
And I love it and I hate it so much at the same time. And it's great and it's miserable.
Welcome to the party.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I think it's good to, like, you're in the right hobby when you hate it.
Yeah, totally. I agree 100%.
Cool. Well, as you know, because you also are in on the Facebook group and everything else,
Yes.
We asked for suggestions, questions, things people wanted to know about audio. So we're going to go ahead and dive in on that if you're cool.
And
Yeah.
for those not in the know, like, audio is like a big thing in cosplay contests. Like,
Yes.
oftentimes we'll have to like mix your own music or try and find something or put words on top of music and stuff like that. So we knew David would be the expert on this.
Yeah. I also feel like when you're mixing your own audio, you have so much more control over the stage. Like, not to knock any contests that just do like a backing track over walk-ons or anything like that, but I would much rather know like what kind of a sound I'm going to have going onto stage. If I want to present my character in a like mysterious way, or if I want them to like have really cool adventuring battle music, it's going to like really change how my walk-on feels.
Yeah.
So yeah, audio is important. So that's kind of what we wanted to touch on with that. And I know a lot of people do like skits and things, and most of those are humorous. Not all, but most are humorous, involve a lot of talking back and forth, mixing in sound effects, Foley work. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we want to help you guys have like a better presentation for your cosplays and answer the questions you had. So here we go. I'm going to start with Kimi because she had some really good ones, and you remember her from last week. So Kimi says, I'm not sure if this is the technical term, but what about equalizing audio? For instance, if you and another person record your audio in different rooms with different mics, what's the best way to make them sound as similar as possible? Or for people working across state lines or on tight schedules who can't record together?
I love this question. Like, one of my pet peeves is listening to like the radio and then hearing somebody on the phone, and like the audio quality is just mismatched, right? And you hear that in some podcasts where they're recording in other areas, and one person's using like some gaming mic and someone's using their desktop mic, and so like it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah.
So a good way to avoid this, now I'm going to preface that everything that I'm going to recommend is going to be through the free audio editing application called Audacity. It's free, it's really easy to use, there are billions of tutorials out there, so if you feel kind of overwhelmed, like I did when I first picked it up, there is way too many like steps on how to solve it. Solve your problem in Audacity.
Yeah. Like I know very little about sound editing, but I have always used Audacity. It's very like user friendly. It's very easy to get started with.
Totally. So when it comes to something like you have multiple tracks, the main tool that you're going to want to use is a compressor. When you are using a compressor, what that does is it makes it so that way everything kind of from as loud as it is kind of gets smushed down so it fits in, and it doesn't get too loud. It kind of like, I don't want you to be louder than, let's say, I'm throwing out random numbers, 10 decibels.
Okay.
And it goes, okay, I will do my best to make sure it stays within that parameters. A compressor is really great. It does go over that 10 decibel mark every now and again, but it's kind of a soft arc over 10 decibels.
So what is a compressor?
This is like,
sorry, we have to.
No, you're good. It's like trying to describe an onomatopoeia, really. A compressor is really just pushing your sound to fit your needs. So sometimes when you get really, really loud on your microphone, it's going to do what's called clipping or peaking. And if you add a compressor on that, it will help prevent it from clipping and peaking along those lines. So let's say that you're talking and you talk at a 15 decibel level. Right? Decibel is how you measure how loud something is. And you say, well, I don't want it to be 15 decibels. OSHA requires it to be 12 decibels for whatever reason. I'm making this stuff up. So you throw in a compressor and you say, okay, I want you to be within 12 decibels. And they go, cool. We will try and match that as much as possible. And it kind of pushes everything down so it's not as loud.
So that's just in your settings when you're recording then?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I do it in post. All of the edits that I do is in post. That kind of puts more work on me, but that's less tools I have to buy. I am not made of money. This is what I want to be when I grow up, but it's not what I'm making money off of right now.
No, that's okay. Like I've always been worried that in recording, because like I get that where it clips or peaks or goes really loud, and you kind of see everything go to a flat line instead of the audio peaks.
I was gonna say that's also good to know, like on the like cost wise, because like a lot of times cosplayers' audio is kind of like the last second thing that they think about, and therefore they probably aren't putting a ton of money into doing their audio.
Yeah, totally. The second thing for Kimi is you want to make sure that you're doing a normalizer. So both of these tools are in the effects tool in Audacity. Do your compressor first, so that way it makes sure everything is kind of even, right? That nothing goes too loud. And then normalize brings up your highs, or brings down your highs rather, and brings up your lows. So if it's really soft and it's like really quiet and you're having a hard time hearing it, the normalizer the normalizer will kind of bring it from here to here, so you hear the whispering.
So you're talk whispering.
Exactly. And you're not having to do a lot of extra vocal work to get to that point. So those two things, a compressor and a normalizer, easy way to make sure everybody's audio is the same, as long as you're matching the settings to be the same.
I want to go play with this now. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know about this stuff.
No, I'm really happy that you can edit it like post, that you don't have to have fancy equipment to do it. You can edit what you already have.
Totally.
Nice. Kimmy had a follow-up question too that was on entry-level microphones as far as equipment goes. She would like to know the best microphones for group versus solo, and if it's better to record everyone on separate tracks and then put them together later.
Yes. You want to do that in post as much as possible. Like I said at the beginning, I did Dungeons and Chill off of 3 cell phones. And I liked that audio way more at the beginning than when we got like personalized little like lapel microphones that we plugged into our cell phones individually. It sounded way better. It was easier to manage. Yeah, it was.
Cell phones make very good microphones.
Surprisingly
I've noticed.
good, yeah.
Yeah, they do really well. They do.
They're not as good as like good microphones, but like mine has surprised me on the ones like that I've recorded and sent to you and been like, this isn't awful, okay.
Yeah, no, like as long as you are using the microphone correctly and you're not like eating the microphone, you're not going to have too many problems. A lot of people are going to have a hard time telling what the quality of the microphone is once you're done with it all. So I would recommend put everyone on a different track. It's easier to manage. It's easier to figure out what needs to be changed when it comes to editing in the end. As far as entry-level microphones, if you wanted to get like a really nice microphone that we're recording on, which is a Behringer, I got it for like 3 of these for $36 or so.
Wow.
Yeah. The problem is you need an XLR cable and then you need an adapter to that if you wanted to plug it into your phone, or you could spend X number of dollars on your mixer. So my mindset is let's go for cheap, easy, get it done. Get a cell phone, hold it about, if you take your pinky and your thumb and you kind of do the Hawaiian hang loose kind of thing, put your thumb to your pinky. And at your pinky, put where your microphone's going to be. That's more or less where you want your mouth to be from your microphone.
I've been way too close.
It's something that I've done and I've compensated for years now. So like, yes,
you can't see, but we're like all here like eating our mics,
leading
and,
into the
leaning
microphone,
in, like goblins.
Yeah. So yeah, bottom lip, pinky out. That's about where you want to be away from your microphone.
I'm going to sip some tea.
A little bit, yes.
A bit of tea.
Maybe that should be our picture. Is all.
Out.
So tell everybody that is recording to do the same thing with their phones. If you want to use the same phone, cool. Go into your closet. That is going to be the best place to record. Look into your hanging clothes when you record. Because when you speak, the sound will bounce off of everything, and it will actually be absorbed by your clothes. If you look at your wall, then it's going to likely bounce back at you.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just like equal parts like very excited to try this, and then also horrified at what people around me are going to think as I do this.
Yeah. There was a YouTuber that I watched forever ago, and he was like, here's how you be a YouTuber. And I thought that was going to be a path for me a while ago. And he said, get a good microphone first. People are more likely to forgive bad video than they are to forgive bad audio. And if you think about like other competitions you've been to where they haven't had good audio, like it sounds like they recorded it in front of their computer speaker.
Yeah.
It's very obvious, and you're like, "Oh, this doesn't sound good." You're gonna pick up on that quickly.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I have an example of that we can link if we want to, because it's still on YouTube my audio being.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
We're gonna talk about some of those in horror stories. I think.
Yes, I'll save that. Good grief.
Sort of as a follow-up to that, talking about like good places to record, my question on the group was how to cancel background noise, or at least kind of prevent it.
Yeah. So this one is a very useful tool. This is what I run on everything. You want to get what's called room tone. So back before a lot of this went digital, when people would make movies, they would get the guy with the boom mic where they stand there with their arms up, holding up the microphone in the air, and they'd say, everybody freeze for tone. And literally everybody would stop in their tracks, and they would just sit there for 30 seconds so they could get room tone. So that way they can make sure that sound is coming correctly. And then what they're also doing is they're taking that sound and they're doing a noise reduction on it. Now, this is another tool in Audacity. So you get 5 seconds of silence before you say anything. So you have a fan running in your background, or your computer's grinding just a little bit louder than normal. Sit there for about 5-10 seconds, and then then kind of do your thing. Once in post, highlight that area, click on noise reduction. And in noise reduction, it's going to look a little daunting, I'm going to admit. And at the same time, this is just where you kind of have to play with it a little bit. First, you get your noise profile. So that first 5 to 10 seconds, that's your tone. And then the step 2 to this is there is a noise reduction, a sensitivity, and a frequency bands. I'm going to simplify this as much as possible. Your noise reduction is how much of that are we taking out. In decibels, it's kind of a judgment call. Personally, I leave my noise floor to 40 decibels. So that way nothing gets louder than 40 decibels. Your sensitivity is how extreme it is, and your frequency is... I don't really know how to explain that easier than it's just the frequency of the waves, right? So keep in mind a couple things with your noise reduction tool. If you've got like the taiko drums in the background of the what was that episode?
Oh, the Japanese festival. Yeah.
They do, like, it does a great job if you have it outside of a conversation, but it unfortunately didn't happen in between words, so you can't really edit that out. Even if it did, what will happen is that audio is overlapping each other at this point. So you cut out that noise, but you're also cutting out parts of your voice as well. So remember how I said the compressor kind of takes that peak and it brings it down a little bit, makes it not as a hard peak. This actually kind of cuts it out. So you could be missing parts of your voice. It's noticeable if you do too much, if you do it like over and over again. And at the same time, like if you do it once, it's not usually terrible. You're going to have to play with the noise reduction and the sensitivity. I leave mine at 40 decibels for the noise reduction, and my sensitivity is usually about 6 to 8, depending on the how extreme it is. And I always leave my frequency at 3. So
I'm kind of like dumbing this down into simple words so my brain can understand it. So it sounds like what this does is you take a sampling and telling the program that, like, look for this same sampling of, like, this is what background noise sounds like here. And it goes through the rest of your audio and finds that and eliminates it.
That's exactly
with different, like, varying levels of sensitivity to, like, what it eliminates.
Exactly. Yes. That is a great way.
I want to make sure that I get that.
Super simple.
I'm Bill Nye here. I'm not at all.
Panning the not science guy.
Cool. Did you want to read some of these Mercedes?
Yes.
I feel like I'm leaving you out. I'm going to guess Linnea Kemsley.
Okay.
Linnea? Linnea?
I think it's
Linnea.
It
looks like Linnea. Sorry about your name. Sorry, human.
She's a very sweet person, I know that.
Yeah.
So she says, I usually use audio from the source material. So, like, music, words, stuff like that. How can I get rid of the sound effects or get rid of background music when I'm stealing dialogue?
Oh boy.
Probably a big one.
So I saw this question when it was first posted, and this is a great question. Like, I see the reason why you want this. Like, there's a great dialogue that your character says, and you want to just mouth along with it.
Sure.
This is really hard. So if it's just them talking and some swelling music comes up and, you know, there's this great moment and there's not a lot of action, what you can do is you can take that audio clip, find the music that is being played in this moment. So you have 2 different tracks in Audacity now. Take the track with just the music, and you're going to do what's called invert the track. So sound waves, you know, are just like regular waves. They go up and they go down. Now, if you were to take the exact same sound and then do the opposite of it, they actually cancel each other out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Science.
Yeah. So this is a cheap and easy way. It's not going to be the best thing. If you can put something else on top of that, so you'll get the dialogue, and then if you can get your own music or if you can get something else going on, awesome. That's going to hide out whatever little bits that it can't come out as, because when you pull it from, let's say, YouTube, right? YouTube might have it as, well, this part of the song is coming out of the left speaker, and this part of the song is coming out of the right speaker. And the song that you've ripped with just the music may not do that the same way.
Okay.
So there'll be parts where, like, well, this one was coming out of the left speaker for a little bit, so it didn't cancel itself out as well. So if you have another song, or you have even just like a little bit of white noise.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't recommend a lot of white noise.
Yeah.
And you can just generate. There's a generate button in Audacity. Generate white noise.
What?
Yeah. It's great.
How did I not know there's so much about Audacity I don't know.
Yeah. It's just generate noise. It's white noise. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Do it like this tiny little bit, probably no louder than 5 decibels above your noise floor. So if you're doing 4, I'd probably say like 3. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, sound math is weird. If you have 3 decibels and you have 3 decibels, you only have 5 decibels.
What?
What?
Yeah. So if you double something, it only actually gets like 3 decibels louder. Yeah.
Math. Okay.
Yeah.
I love math, but now I hate math.
One of my when I was doing classes for this, one of my teachers was like, okay, so we're going to figure out what the NC1701 sounds like in space. So this is the energy output, and we're going to translate energy output into decibels.
What?
And I was like, this is the nerdiest thing ever. This is the greatest thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was like very memorable to me.
Nice.
So when it comes to like sound effects and whatnot, there is a way that you can rip the audio out. In effects, the very, very bottom in Audacity, there is a vocal reduction and isolation, vocal remover. These tools you need to play with to figure out what's going to work best for you.
Mm-hmm.
For isolation, you choose isolation. It's a little pop-up. It'll show you isolate vocals,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have to play with the strength, the low cut for vocals, and the high cut for vocals. How loud does the voice go and how low does the voice go?
Okay.
It's not going to be perfect. So again, if you have your own music that you can throw in there, awesome. That's going to help really make your audio sound a little bit cleaner, because then when you like have this really swelling moment with music in the background, you're going to hear like it's going to be soft and it's going to bug you a little bit. But who knows? Maybe you're the only person to notice it, and you play it for your significant other, and they're like, "I don't hear anything," and you're like, "Oh, well, it's just me." I'm not speaking from personal experience at all. No.
Experience? What?
I would say I definitely like whenever I've done audio editing, I have like 2 or 3 people listen to it because they will catch things I didn't realize were a thing, or like I'll think I blended something really well, and then they're like, "No, that was obviously not blended well."
Yeah.
I just shamedly don't share it with anybody and just give it to the convention. Just like, and that should be good enough, I hope. And then I just send it to them and hope for the best.
Nice.
Don't have me mix audio for you.
Oh, I'm glad for the skit we did at ALA. It was just like a real basic song edit.
Oh yeah, that
it wasn't
just
too
like,
bad.
Just change the speed a little bit and cut it at certain points. Like, I guess I did do that one.
You did. You did. All right. Our next question is from Alex Baird.
Hi, Alex.
Hello. It says kind of what we covered in another question, but like the bare minimum. What are the most essential tools to produce audio? Is it well, we'll go through these one at a time. Yeah. So, what are the most essential tools, first of all?
A microphone and an editing software.
Okay.
Now, you can get an editing software on your phone. I would not recommend it because it's hard to get accuracy that you can get with your mouse. It's what a lot of PC gamers and console gamers have arguments about, of like, well, with PC gaming I get more accuracy with my mouse, right? Like, it's the same thing. Like, I can control more of what frequencies I'm editing, and it's easier to use on your computer. But I also understand the poor man's out might be your phone. If you just in your marketplace or iTunes store, if you search audio editing, or if you wanted to get technical, DAW, D-A-W, that's digital audio writing something. I can't remember. Yes. So the bare essentials is a microphone, so your phone, a lapel mic. If you're lucky and you've saved up money, a nicer microphone that you bought at Walmart even. You could even use your Rock Band microphone. It's got a nice USB on there. As long as you haven't yelled into it too much and you've kind of ruined what's called the diaphragm, the part that shakes back and forth that sends the sound.
Well, that rules mine out.
You could plug that into your USB and pull up Audacity, hit record, and you'll be great.
Okay.
In my personal opinion, use your cell phone. It's a better quality microphone. It's easier to send the sound over, and you're going to have less problems overall.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. So the next one is it possible to do audio on just a phone or computer?
Yeah, you can do it on your phone. When I was doing this originally as part of Dungeons and Chill, what I would do is I would write out my script for like my previously on or my promotional stuff. I'd write it out, and then I'd like say it out loud like 10, 20 times, so I got the rhythm of it, and then I'd record it and pause it when I wasn't certain, and then pick it up again, and it was easy to like put those together, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's just a lot of work. You can do it on your phone in that poor man method, but at the same time, like, if you've got Audacity, or if you can even get to the library for a little bit with a thumb drive with what you've recorded on your phone, download Audacity real quick. It's easy to cut these things in together. That's honest to goodness. Get your computer out. It's going to be your best friend.
Okay. Cool. And I mean, the last question to follow up was, what is the poor man's way? And I think you kind of went over that.
That's why I kept using the term poor man, because I didn't realize I read it.
Okay.
If you're using a Mac, you can use GarageBand. That usually does come free. I don't have a lot of experience with GarageBand because PC for life. But yes, you could use that. You also could download Audacity on your Mac as well.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I like Audacity a lot. So, Bud Livingston. Hey, Bud.
Hey.
Hannah.
You gotta think of a fun, exciting greeting for everyone who commented.
So you plan out your audio, and it's perfect. You get to the con, and you can't use it for A, they can't play the song legally, etc., or B, the equipment or format, whatever, is not comparable. So what do you do when you had everything perfect, and now you have nothing?
Oh, gosh.
So I think you guys are more good for A. I have a suggestion for B.
Okay.
Go for it.
I have one. So always, for the most part, a convention will know beforehand if they can or cannot play music. Now, I know, especially here in Utah, we've had a couple of conventions come and go that were like, hey, play whatever music that you want, and then they got there and they're like, hey, actually, we didn't get the rights to that, so you don't have audio now. And I hate that, because like
so
you plan
hard.
something
It's
out
so
and
hard.
then find out that you can't, and it just sucks.
Uh-huh.
So have a plan B, especially if like you're looking at a convention that's being unreliable like that, as far as like trying to get their permissions. I don't remember what the thing is that they do to get permission to play licensed audio.
You usually, like, at least with the conventions I've worked with, is you kind of buy, like, an event pass for the weekend. That's, like, a pass that lets you go, okay, you can use any of these for the weekend, and you don't have to pay royalties on it because you've paid for this pass, sort of a thing.
Okay.
Depending on the convention, it depends on, like, how many people come. It depends on, like, how many people are going to hear this sound. Basically, you're still making sure that the people who should get royalties get some form of compensation.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Because we want to support our artists.
Yeah.
I would just try and like look ahead of time as much as possible, and if the convention's being iffy on it, have a backup plan with unlicensed music.
Yeah, like, for me, like, I don't do super heavy planning unless it's a convention that I know their contest really well, and I know what to expect from it. Like, with Anime Los Angeles, I know every year I get a full rehearsal. Like, I get to be on stage and get a sound rehearsal, see what my sound sounds like on stage. They always have, like, they don't have a problem with the royalties of the audio. Like, you bring your sound and they play it, basically.
Yeah.
But I know that because I've gone there for several years, and that's proven to be always what happens.
Yeah.
But when I'm going into a new contest, I definitely will plan my skit a little less in specific detail, or if it's a walk-on, I'll, like, when I perform, I like to have audio cues, like, oh, when the audio swells, I'm going to do this movement, and I think we talked about this a little bit, but like, and then when there's like a snap, then I'm going to do this, and then I have a magic trick that I'm going to do on this beat, and when you don't know what the music is, it's a lot harder to plan that, but knowing your contest, I would say, is probably the best advice I can give you. knowing what to expect when you get there. If they've a history of maybe we can, maybe we can't, then definitely have a plan B. And maybe don't plan something that's super detailed for that con.
Just be ready to adapt to whatever they throw at you.
Yeah. Because, I mean, not every con can afford to get that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to do royalty free. And I know most conventions that go that route will at least let you know when they announce contest rules.
Yes, because they don't want to have you send in something that's not royalty free and they get in trouble. So they usually are on top of that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. So the B question.
So the equipment and format is not compatible. So what do you do?
So here's where my recommendation is. My personal philosophy, and I when we first started working together, I let you guys know if it doesn't exist in 3 different places, it doesn't exist. So I have my computer hard drive, I have my external hard drive that goes with me wherever I go, and I have cloud storage. So in this case, I would recommend doing that exact same thing. Put it in 3 different formats. Put it in MP3, put it in WAV, and put it in something else.
Yeah.
Right? That's gonna probably reduce the incompatibility portions of it.
Yes.
Bring it on a CD, bring it on a flash drive, or bring your SoundCloud link, right?
Save it as an MP3, save it as a WAV,
exactly.
Save it as... What else is there?
Oh, there's too many. There's too many. Too many.
And I would also check, again, with the contest beforehand of what they would like you to submit in. Because I know that's like a big thing with like Anime Bonsai. They're always like, submit it in this format, which I always forget, and I always have to reread it to figure out what I'm sending to them because I'm a forgetful person.
No, totally. Like, the horror story, one of the ones I want to share today is actually this exact problem. So yeah, I definitely get where he's coming from.
And when it comes to the licensing bit, like, that's going to be always a pain in the butt. But there is this guy on the internet his name is Kevin MacLeod.
Yep. He has the best music.
He has over 2,000 songs that are completely royalty free. As long as you credit him where it's appropriate to credit him.
Yes.
He has no problem with it.
That's awesome.
Go to him, go to his website. It's incompetech, incompetech.com. He's got over 2,000 songs. Jeez. You want something eerie, you want something mystical, you want something action.
He's got it.
That is awesome.
It's there. And he just does this for fun.
There were so many school projects when I was doing game dev. There were so many projects where we just used his music in it to create our background, and like it's perfect. And
it's really funny, like, once you've listened to his archive for a little bit, because Dungeons and Chill has no original music, it's all from incompetech.com.
Nice.
It's so funny because I'll be watching YouTube and it's like, I recognize that song.
You start picking it up elsewhere. You're like, oh hey.
If you've listened to Critical Role, their combat music, dun 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 da 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 da, that's also Kevin MacLeod. So it's really, like, he's really famous.
Awesome.
If you can find something that works for you guys, fits your character, and it's royalty free, so you won't even have to worry about, like, you might have to prove that it's royalty free to the con, but that's a good workaround.
That is pretty awesome. Well, that's actually all the questions we had from our Facebook. I did have a question for you, since it's a question we ask all of our guests.
Okay.
Or we're trying to from here out. And that is, like, what topics or people inspire you, or what do you think would be a fun thing to talk about on our show?
I have always heard, like, you guys talking about the green room so much.
Oh, okay.
And I think it'd be really cool to do, like, green room interviews.
Yeah.
So, like, at the next con, just, like, sneak into the green room real quick and just, like, hey, I want to talk to a couple of you guys. Come and hang out. Let me ask some questions. How are you doing? How excited are you? Yeah. I would love to hear something along those lines.
That sounds so fun. You could do that.
Oh, okay. As Mercedes finds a way to get in the green room this year, even though she's not competing.
We'll see if I can pull some strings. We'll see. I guess you'll see after Bonsai.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do that.
I do that, yes.
That's awesome. I love that idea. So, of course, our favorite part of the podcast, the horror stories. Bom, bom, bom. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. Okay.
So this was the first con, This was for Salt Lake Comic-Con. And I decided one of the people that I wanted to dress up as was Freddie Mercury.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
I love Freddie Mercury.
Yes.
He is my idol. He will always be my idol. I'm really
Yes.
nervous about Bohemian Rhapsody, this movie coming out.
Yeah, fair.
So excited for it.
So I got like this white wife beater. I had this black leather jacket. I found
Nice.
white skinny jeans, and I was like
Yes.
super proud of this costume, right? And it was like super cheap. First, real big first cosplay that I kind of threw
Yeah.
together. And my wife and I went to some costume shop, and we bought a fake mustache.
Mm-hmm.
And I love my wife. What I'm going to say next is, despite that, I love my wife so much. I have been with her for almost 10 years now. We are high school
Aw.
sweethearts.
Oh,
That's awesome.
But you know how they say you are your own worst critic?
Uh-huh.
yes.
I am way nicer to me than my wife is.
Oh.
So I put on the mustache, and I'm like, okay, it looks a little silly. I'll trim it up here and there. And I got it I thought it was looking pretty good. And I turned to her, and I just hear,
Oh no!
and I was just, I shattered, my entire, I was just like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to take this off. I'm going to undo my hair,
No.
zip up my jacket, because I was just immediate shame over it.
No.
And then this was also the year that Henry Winkler was there.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people were like, oh, you're doing the Fonz, right? And I just looked at my wife, and I was like, no, what have you done?
You turned me into Fonzie.
You turned me into the Fonz. So, yeah, it's a funny
that's
horror
rough.
story, but yeah, my wife is my worst critic, really. And we joke about it every now and again, because it came up on my Facebook memories not too long ago of just this. And I look back at it, I was like, yeah, it didn't look great, but it wasn't that bad. It was that bad, David. It was that bad.
Yeah.
So.
Oh man. I've definitely been there where you I haven't tried it on till the con, and I put it on at the con, and I take it off at the con. And I'm like, nope, this is staying in the hotel room. It is not leaving this room.
It's not happening.
Dang.
Yeah. Or
try
you
to-
still wear it and you're like, this is happening. This is where it's going.
Yeah, sometimes you just like I've done it for events and things where we have to be in that costume for that
Yeah.
event and be that character. And you're just like, well, I'm going to burn this afterwards. We're going to have a nice campfire.
Yeah.
Campfire cosplay. That
Oh.
should be a thing.
Campfire.
Cosplay bonfire.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I've got an audio one.
Okay.
So I kind of mentioned it briefly before, but so one year I went to this convention down in St. George, Utah. It's called Fanaticu. It is
I love that one.
still to this day my favorite convention I've ever been to, and I'm hoping they come back, but they've not been able to host the event for a few years now. Crossing my fingers that they come back. Very tiny convention, maybe 500 people, sometimes a little bit more than that. Just super personable. Love it so much. So one of the years that I went, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna compete. And I worked really hard on these super obscure cosplays for myself and my sister. Thrown together as quickly as possible, but I don't know, I was still learning a lot of different things, and just I was super excited. And we're driving down to St. George, and I'm like, we need to get our audio together. We still have to turn that in. And it's, and it's the night before the contest, essentially. Well, the night before the convention. It was a 2-day convention, I think. Either way, we had to make our audio that night, and we're driving down to St. George, and it's already 8 o'clock at night.
Man.
I contacted my grandparents because I was staying at their place. I was like, we're showing up after midnight, is that okay? And they're like, yeah, sure, we're not going to be there. And I'm like, oh. So it was awesome. So at least they didn't hear us do this. So we get to my grandparents, we get inside, it's midnight, we're tired, but we on the way down came up with this rough idea of what to do on stage.
Yeah.
And we're quickly looking up music and using our phones, because I couldn't figure out how to connect to the internet, because my grandparents' Wi-Fi is really different. And just all these blocks just getting in our way. And then we record. And we decided to have a part where my sister screams.
Oh no.
And, well, I'll link the video.
Alright.
It's still on the YouTubes. I'll link the video. You can hear it. The audio is awful.
Oh man.
And it was awesome. In the audience, you can actually hear my friend Camille. She came with us. She's our robotic kind of voice for it.
Yeah.
Because our characters were in a video game, and they were player characters, but just people playing a video game kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And so it's anytime you killed a friendly character, your fame would go down. Like, you could become wanted, essentially, go on wanted lists and get a bounty on your head. And so that's essentially what we had happen, was that my character killed the skeletons that were chasing this cute little innocent girl, and they were her skeletons. She was a cute little innocent necromancer girl, one of my favorite characters from this series.
All right.
Yeah, it's a series called Half Prince, by the way, if anyone hasn't heard of it. It's manga. It's awesome. I love it.
I've not heard of that one.
It's beautiful. But yeah, so the audio is not great. Like, it sounds like we recorded it all on the computer. We didn't even do like different tracks. We just all were like, okay, here's our time. Mm-hmm. You're gonna start saying this at this point. I'm gonna say that at that point. It was really poorly put together. Wow. And then we found some like super cheesy free video game music, air quotes, to play at the same time. It was so bad. But yeah, and then you can hear in the video, you can hear Camille in the audience going, "I love you, Prince."
Oh my god,
it's great.
I mean, I will say, like, with recording, like we talked about earlier, like, having a track for each person is awesome.
Yes, don't do
being able to record separately is great.
Oh,
like,
sorry,
yeah?
There total side tangent. Back to that. It's easier to edit out spaces than it is to edit it, like, when someone's talking and then talking and talking and you're trying to put in a word between the words that they're trying to say. So, like, all of that's going to be really hard to edit something into. So if you need to say something slower, so that way, like, there's gaps and it's easier to edit that out, do that instead. So sorry.
No,
Continue.
that's a good point.
That's
like,
a good point, yeah.
When I used to do a lot of the audio editing for a cosplay group that I, like, was in and kind of managed and did work for. And one of the hardest things, because we wanted to put as many, like, silly goofs in it as possible, was, like, our skits always went over the time limit. So I ended up, like, cutting the little spaces between words when people paused, just so I could get the time down as small as I could.
Totally.
But yeah, and recording multiple takes is really good too. Like, I don't know about anyone else, but when I say something for the first time, it never is like how I hear it in my head.
No.
My recommendation is do it at least 3 times. Mm-hmm. Try and keep it within those 3. Mm-hmm. Your first time is the first pancake, right? The first pancake is never good. The second pancake is going to be a lot better, and the third pancake is usually perfect. But the great thing about audio is you can take the first part of the first pancake and the second part of the second pancake, and then you can put together whatever you want. So that way, whatever it is that you're saying, it's like, well, I had really good enunciation here, and the click was really good there. So you could just put it all together as one thing, and nobody's gonna know the difference.
I think people would think I was crazy when I would sit in the recording booth doing the recording thingies while I had someone on the mic and just like, okay, say it like that, but like emphasize a different word or say it differently. And
you're the voice actor's best director, I'm sure.
I'm sure they got tired of it, but it was fun. Okay, so horror, back to the
horror
bad
stories.
Things.
Horror stories.
I will say one last suggestion though, like if things are up to the wire and you still want to do like a skit, like I will never discount good, like just a good song or a good like thing you don't have to cut than trying to record last minute. Like so often you can just do like go find a song that fits your characters and then make the characters fit to the audio you found. Then you can to like try to write a script and record a script and edit a script last minute is going to drive you crazy.
Yep. 1,000-yard stare from me.
So, oh gosh, I feel like I should have learned this lesson long ago, but like it happened several times. But the whole having different formats and backups and things. So this was at NondesCon in Denver probably 6 or 7 years ago, I want to say. I was doing a Fruits Basket group, and
Okay.
for part of the Fruits Basket group, we wanted to like tell it as a classic fairy tale. So I had a Juni Hitoe, which is a Japanese garment that's like a 13-layered kimono.
Oh gosh.
Or a 12 yeah, Juni is 12. So 12-layered kimono, but because it was the Fruits Basket story, I had 13, so I had one for the cat.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah.
So, and then on the back of each of the kimono layers, I had like a different zodiac animal.
Oh, cool.
And like, so as we're telling the story, it's about like all the things Toro gives people so that they like become more confident or like are able to heal a little bit. And it was a cute story. I think the video for it is still on my YouTube because I actually like got actors to play all the parts.
Oh,
It was
cool.
really fun. But the first time we did it, they wanted the audio on a CD. And at this point, I don't remember who wrote on the CD, but they wrote on it with a ballpoint pen.
Oh!
And
no.
so it had our skit name on it, written in ballpoint pen. And I was not aware of this as we stepped onto the stage.
Oh.
We did not have like a USB backup. We did not have like anything. So we get on there and like the audio, like the first 5 seconds of the audio played perfectly. And then it was nothing but a garbled mess. And
Oh boy.
so instead of doing our skit, we were like, well, we don't have a backup. We don't have anything. I'm just going to strip out of 12 layers of kimono so you can see them all before I get off this stage.
Just start stripping.
So it was my friend who was cosplaying Kyo and our stage ninja stripping me out of 12 layers of kimono so I could show them all before I exited the
To
stage.
weird garbled music.
To nothing. To
Dead
like,
silence.
Dead silence.
I think I would have just been starting to sing on stage. Ba, 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 ba.
Well, we got a little bit of like a dance routine into it and just started shaking around. And so like it was like some hoots and hollers and mild applause till we got to the end. So it wasn't complete silence, but it was definitely embarrassing.
As horrible that is, that makes me miss CDs.
Oh man. Yeah, don't write on CDs with ballpoint pen. Have lots of backups. And then, gosh, we've had a lot of audio goofs in the past, and like having a proper backup is like the biggest thing, I swear. Like just having it in several formats, having it on several different devices, or CD versus MP3 versus Wave. Like, please.
Yeah.
The alternative is being quiet and awkward on stage.
While you're slowly being undressed
While
layer
you're
by
slowly
layer.
being undressed.
Is there video of that one?
What?
Is there video of that one? I want to see that.
I don't remember if they actually put the video up or not. I think
look.
they might have not posted it. Like, we still won, which baffles me. We won an award. Like, I have it over on the shelf. But, like, I was like, no, but why? We tried to make the best of a bad situation.
Sometimes that helps.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. If you guys would like to share your horror stories with us, remember you can send that in to us Gmail, CosplayStitchandSeam@gmail.com.
Or go to the website at CosplayStitchandSeam.com and you can send it through the contact form there.
Yeah. We also have the Facebook group. We don't usually ask for the horror stories there because we like them to be a fun reveal on the air. We are, through the month of October, going to be taking your horror stories to combine for a final episode at the end of October. Not final episode, but a Halloween episode. Compilation, not final. Sounds so sad and death-like.
It does. Kind of a job.
No! We'll do a compilation episode of all your stories. So if you want to write them in, you can. If you want to record yourself and send them in, now you have some great tips on how to record yourself in your closet.
In your closet, towards the close.
So send them our way. You have until probably, mid-October?
Yeah.
Probably when this episode releases.
This one will go probably the week before Bonsai.
Yeah. So if you can, I think this will probably be the last week we're accepting them before we gotta cut the deadline.
Yes.
But if you want to get them in, please send them in.
Also, don't forget, like, at CosplayStitchandSeam.com, it is kind of a blog space, so sometimes in our episodes we'll be like, hey, there'll be this
bonus
supplemental
content.
thing. Yeah, bonus content. There'll be this extra thing. You can find it all on there, and I think that's...
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. So remember, you can find our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And where to find David.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. I usually leave him for the best for last.
Well, I'll plug myself a little bit.
Do it.
So I am on 2 different podcasts right now. I am on Cosplay. I'm on Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm so used to telling you should listen to Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I do the editing for it.
One of us. One of us.
No, I am on, as Pannon said, the Comic Trades Monthly. We sit down in a book club format, talk about a volume of a comic book. If you want to read it with us, tell us what you think. All you need to do is go to my Twitter at Comic Trades Pod, or if you want to hang out with me on Dungeons and Chill, that is at Dungeons and Chill, the letter N on Twitter. And if you want any other advice or any questions, or if you want to kind of work with me and we can work on something for your sound, feel free to reach out to me or reach out through Pannon and Mercedes.
Yeah.
And just, you can ask me questions, or we can even meet up and figure something out. Whatever's going to be work best for you.
Awesome.
I want to make sure your sound sounds good.
Yay! So yeah, as a last note, if you like what we do, please share it. That's the only way that we get out there and get more people listening. Especially some of these recent episodes, if something means a lot to you, if we've covered a topic that you think deserves a little more attention, share it. Or send it to a friend. Maybe they're having a down day and they need a pamper session. Send them the Take Care of Yourself episode.
If you have feedback on any of the episodes, we'd love to hear that too.
We would. If you would like us to visit a convention near you, let us know. And be sure to let your local convention know. We travel to as many as we can, but with your help, we might be able to see more. Music is, as always,
by Macy Roberts.
Da-da-da. I think that's everything.
Editing by me.
Editing by David Jeffress of Dungeons and Chill in his new podcast, Comic Trades Monthly. You ready for that?
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to be a part of this one.
It's hard to give good feedback if you're not on the same wavelength.
Oh! I don't want that kind of feedback. That's too noisy.
Oh!